was really a number of countries who were used themselves as puppets. You have a number of countries like Italy itself, which ultimately has a fairly weak government. These globalists, these internationalists that want to control the world, own the world in a kind of a James Bond plot, they want weak leaders, because with weak leaders, they puppet them and they can control them. They're just figureheads. That's why a person like a Biden, who's so feeble, who's so blank in his own cognitive abilities, is perfect for them. Even had Hillary won, she would have been, for all that she presents as being powerful and strong-willed and everything else, she's a very weak person, a very controlled person that they can puppet very easily. All of these leaders are, because they are compromised and captured. And so weak leaders, just like you have in Italy, they're so easy to control. You're going to have Italy and people in Italy colluding to get some little gain by controlling the election into America. Really? No, they're just another piece in a much larger puzzle. There was British agents that were down there in Italy, where at the facility where those flips on the vote occurred. Ultimately, what you're going to find as this plays out the rest of the way is that there was this was really, in large measure, a Brit operation from MI6, and it was the bankers from that square mile in London that were controlling all the various parts, including the players in the intelligence agencies, to control the outcome of this election and the election before it, for their global interests. Remember, people think of America as being the largest, most influential country in the world, but it's probably not exactly completely true. It's the British Commonwealth countries working together. Even the Dominion name, Dominion countries, Canada is a Dominion country within the Commonwealth. That Dominion name is a reflection of who's actually controlling, whose objectives are at stake in that vote system being out in the world. They brand things with certain names because it has meaning to them. And it's like a little secret hand signal. Hey, this is us. It's like a tattoo. Oh, yeah, I'm on the same team as you are. They flash it. It's a gang sign, okay? Well, the Dominion name's a little gang sign flash. Hey, that's us. We got it. Okay. That makes sense for you? You kind of catching that?
Definitely.
Yeah. And this is a revolutionary war. The people that want to portray that if we don't get this vote right, whatever, we're going to have civil war in America, we're going to have fighting in the streets and the capitals and the police and everything else, that's somebody else's idea of how they're going to get us fighting each other. They want us fighting each other on black and white. They want us fighting each other on Catholic versus Protestant versus, Jehovah's Witness or any other religion. They want us fighting each other on the rich, the poor. They want us fighting each other against young and old, because young people are having to pay all these exorbitant taxes to support the old people with their medical stuff, and they're against each other. And there's tax frauds against the rich and the poor. Every way you can divide the nation, the Brit model throughout the world for several hundred years is to divide the people in a country against each other, to fractionalize them, to split an area like Syria into 3 provinces, and then constantly put them at war with each other, keeping them in discord, and then they come in and provide resolution, and they keep the peace, etc. Okay? That's the model. And they're trying to do that here in America to put us against each other, to make it so we can't be functional in the way that we do commerce interstate and run the roads. the power, the way that we exercise, run power grids and pipelines and gas lines and things like that, to where we're dysfunctional. And the costs are out of space, and then they have to tax us to the moon to regulate us, to have their green bullshit. And now this COVID thing. So all of that is done to keep us dysfunctional, so we're not a threat, so that they can come manage us for the global good. And then we all have to be brought together in a global alliance with one global leader to represent us out into the whatever worlds. Okay? That's bullshit.
Yes.
That's their plan to steal our sovereignty. We're not falling for it.
No, we are not.
We're Americans. We're going to work together. We're not going to be divided. We're closing ranks, shoulder to shoulder. We're taking back our country. And then we're going out to the rest of the world to be our brother's brother, not our brother's keeper, like these assholes want to be. Oh, we're taking care of you. We're managing you. You're on our farm. You'll go by our agreed upon rules. And these unelected bullshit artists are not going to win.
Nope.
That's what this is all about.
Amen. Thank you.
Excellent. Are there going to be public tribunals and public executions in D.C.?
There's no secret rapture.
Okay.
All these people that keep saying so-and-so's been carried away and hung and executed, blah, blah, blah. Listen, the healing doesn't come by not having a public understanding of what's occurred here.
Can you just speak to the MSM?
Well, let me say it this way. I don't actually. It's like saying who's going to go in and throw this group out that has this stolen vote. At some level, the sequence might not be what people are expecting. It may not be throwing people in cuffs instantaneously. It may just be getting the right people in power who actually gets the keys to the car. Let the other one stomp and moan, scream bloody murder. The reality is, do we try to take them out of power, or do we just change our stance, who we listen to, who we look to? It's kind of like with Hollywood. Do we just start gravitating towards people that provide content that suits our personality, as opposed to them driving us where the only option is horror and terror and blood and gore continuously, really in a type of a pornographic thing? We'll be talking about seeing stuff that relates to very horrible things going on in society when we get together this weekend. But it's not in a pornography for pornography, pornographic purposes. It's not prurient. It's because we need to understand what's been done in our name right there in plain sight, under our noses, and how they're laughing at us that we won't stop it, can't stop it. People say, God bless America. God bless us, all over the world. Okay, well, if your actions are such that they, you're not protecting innocent, you're not protecting, the women and children, you're not protecting law in a generic sense, lawful interaction, property rights, those things are godly. I don't care what religion you are.
Right.
Personal rights is a function of our God-given station. God did not create Adam and his seed to be slaves to anyone.
Right.
And if you're not protecting that, then what's God supposed to bless? Right. So if we want God's blessing, if we want God's protection, if we want divine interaction in our society and in our lives individually, then we have to act and operate, handle ourselves in a manner that warrants his protection, warrants his blessing. And that starts with those who are incapable in themselves of doing that. Those that are feeble, that are weak, that are young or elderly. We do that, and then we, in a just society, a society that has a sense of justice, to protect just interaction, lawful interaction, property rights, etc. God blesses that. It's a natural outcome. God does it automatically. There's a divine aspect to that. But if you can't get that, and then you turn around, well, I want God to help me out here and bless me there and give me, a new Ferrari this week, and I need, a bigger house, and I need more money to take more vacations and everything else, but you're not protecting the innocent.
Right.
Yes.
Then you aren't deserving.
Qualified for a blessing. Right.
Of a good.
Right.
That's what they did with in Israel. Was on the hills around Israel. At the same time, supposedly here, this is the most holy land where God's people are at. On the hills around the cities, they were sacrificing their children to Baal. They were sacrificing their children to Moloch by making them, literally roasting them in fires, putting them into the golden hands of Baal in this idolic ceremony, burned, live children burned in the hands of this satanic god, sacrifice. And why were people doing that? Because then they could get a good crop. They would get the blessing of a good crop and health and things like that. So you sacrifice your child to get a good crop. What are they doing when they're aborting these children? They're sacrificing these children so they don't have the expense of a child and the burden and the labor of a child. It came about because the sex was happening freely and nobody cares and all that. Father and children, you don't take time to raise them.
But isn't that part? Can I just ask, because isn't that part of the fact that they've made life so burdensome for the average American citizen, that you're so stressed for money? They bleed you out with taxes. They keep you in the rat race. They keep you in despair, and they keep you in lack. You know what I mean? So people who really want to have children and people who really know what it takes to care for children, they do see children as a burden because they don't think they can't even take care of the children that they have now.
Well, and then the way that the children are raised. Oh, you pay so much in taxes. You got both people working to keep the BMW in the driveway. And then it's being raised by a state-approved child care worker with state guidelines and everything else, with a state-approved curriculum that doesn't even tell them anything that's useful or the truth. They're just programmed. They're not even your children mentally. Right. Because you're so busy doing all the other stuff to have life, you can't even raise your own kids because the taxes, the controls, everything else. You've lost control of your household. You've lost control of your society. And that's why people stop having children. You get in these advanced societies and you're not reproducing yourself. You're dying off, and only the immigrants come in and even have the basics to just keep having babies and own the society. That's wrong. That's un-American. That's un-American, classic American, and we have to push back on that.
Right.
And that's really what this is all about, recapturing our society at every level. But it starts with protecting the innocent and then getting basic maternal and paternal instincts back in play to raise our own children, not have the state do it, to have enjoyment, the pleasure of going through all the dramas that happen when you raise kids. It's not an easy thing, but it is a godly thing. It is a handshake and agreement. It's a blessing from God to recreate and reproduce. You know, the promise to Abraham, why Abraham is called the father of the faithful, is because he saw having children and something that was a gift, a blessing from God. moving forward. Because what started in the garden with just two people, when you go to the biblical narrative from Genesis to Revolutions, what's at the end of Revolutions? All the children of Adam are living in this heavenly city with millions and millions and billions there present. And Abraham's seed, the promise to Abraham was his seed would be as the sand of the seashore for number. That if you could count all the sand on the seashore, that's what his seed would be like. A human flesh, physical seed. And that Abraham's children would be as the stars in the heaven for number. So numerous that if you could count them, that's how numerous they'd be. What we can see with physical eyes, a few thousand stars above us. But when you look closer and you look out deeper, there's more stars out there than you can even imagine. There's more galaxies than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. It's so innumerable. It goes on so far and so vast. That's the promise for mankind out into eternity, that we go out and populate not just our own solar system, but star systems out beyond that you can't even comprehend, as God does, this build out of what the children of Adam will do over the eons. And this is the moment where this contest between good and evil, those that would enslave us, would control us, would stop us from reaching our heavenly promises, that's what they're trying to do against us. They're trying to stop us from completing that divine mission that was given to us, this divine promise to Adam and his seed, to Abraham and his seed, to go out and populate. The devil wants us to destroy ourselves, for our own individual self-interest, right now in the here and now, agree to destroy our progeny, to stop recreating, to stop producing, that we're going to overpopulate our world and we won't be able to do anything else. Bullshit.
That's right.
You're thinking in the box. I'm serious as a heart attack. I'm not kidding here. But the devil wants us to destroy ourselves, to destroy each other. This moment in time is a revolution against outside interests. The devil himself, who wants to destroy us. And it's 3 cities on this planet that are attacking us. It's the city of D.C., this evil entity with that phallic symbol at the center of it. It's this evil city, the financial city, over there controlling even the monarchies around the world through their financial system. The political being here in the U.S., the financial being there in the city of London, and then this religious city that is every bit as satanically controlled in that church mind out into the world as the other two. Because look at the Pope's auditorium underneath the Vatican. What is that? That is a snake. That is a reptile. That is the serpent. That is the devil crawling the dust of the earth that has captured and compromised the leadership of the church. Just like our government is supposed to be about freedom across the world, our government is a captured operation, and we, you and me, Prim, Jen, and your audience are about the group that is going to recapture control of our society here in America and get our ship under control, and then we are going to go out to the rest of the world once we have our house in order and help them so that we can be our brother's brother. We have no interest in being our brother's keeper. Thank God.
Space Force, they seem to be, playing a big part. I mean, can you touch on the Space Force and their role in this?
I want to talk on that more and have an actual, for real conversation, a bigger conversation. I don't want to do an injustice to that conversation right now, except to say that just as President Truman agreed to and created the CIA and the Air Force, and then they went in and sheep-picked all of the senior staff, general staff, flag officers, in order to build those out, and that became the core for so many of the operations that are really not necessarily in the best interest of the American people. The same thing is true in a reverse sense of creating the Space Force. The high ground is always the ground you want in military terms. And so being able to grab the right kind of people, put them in the right kind of relationship to do this build out, to capture the moment and regain control of these forces. That's why that was put in play, and it's going to be very important out into the future. And I have other presentations and stuff that I've done already that I would like to go ahead and put out there. I just haven't had time to review and make sure that I want to do that at this exact moment, but we're going to do that. It's a good question. We got to come back and revisit that later and do it justice.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But thank you for everything. Really.
Hey, I'm so looking forward to meeting you guys, your representative of your audience, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's actually a very important moment, and I thank you so much for letting me have access to your audience to talk. In all of this, remember, we got this.
Loud and clear.
But even there, there's 1,000 things. There's 1,000 ways this can go in bizarre directions, go awry. This is a moment for prayer. And while I say that in a very confident way, we need to be more in prayer right now on an individual basis. And there's a certain solemnity that's required, because at the very most basic core level, the stuff that we'll be talking about this weekend, lives are on the line. Our next actions and how we deal with some of the subject matter that we're going to have to deal with the rest of the people around us that really aren't paying attention and haven't been up to this point in time like we are. That's a very solemn, somewhat delicate thing. And like I say, there's 1,000 different ways that can go in bizarre directions, right? We need to be in prayer collectively. I just ask your audience to say a prayer for our leaders, for our military, for those that are even in the media, but our side of the media, that have a divine sense of the move of God that's happening right now, that would even make it possible for us to, on a dime, come together in a matter of days with a very large group of insider people, be in prayer for us. I don't say that lightly. I'm not saying that tritely. I'm very, very serious. This doesn't happen because some person pulls it together. There's there was at the pool of Siloam in the Bible, they said that an angel would stir the water, and so there was this healing thing that would happen, and people would be all around the pool to jump in where the water was suddenly stirred by an angel, and they could get healed. There's a stirring in the water here that's occurring. There's a divine presence, but more importantly, Christ himself showed up at the pool of Siloam, and there were some people that couldn't get to the right spot. There was one man that couldn't do it. He was looking for somebody to lower in. Here he's got the Son of God right there in the room with him at that exact instant. He didn't need healing even to just get to the stirred part of the water. He just had to recognize there's a moment where there's a divine presence on this moment in America. If you recognize that, you can accept this healing this blessing, and you don't have to go find it somewhere. It's right there, in your face right now. At this moment, I would contend that that's true for every one of your listeners. There's a divine presence. There's a reason why they're here in your audience. They're the called. Accept that. Be praying. Be part in prayer. Prayer changes things.
Yeah.
Either you believe it or you don't. If you believe that God hears, pray.
Okay.
We're in a critical moment as a country. Pray for Prim and Jen, that they have just the right contacts, they bring just the right message to other people this weekend, and that they also receive just the right contacts and information and blessing, so you go home with a good report next week about what occurred, and with a critical message to your audience as we work together to change the world.
Loud and clear.
I love you. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to getting together.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Juan. Love you, and traveling mercies.
See you in Vegas, sir. See you in Vegas.
Yes.
All right, bro. Looking forward to it.
I'm so happy, man. Thank you, my brother. I salute you.
All right. Thanks to your audience for giving us the chance to be here. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sure thing. Bye.